Yeah, I think we're good. Everything looks good. Ready?
Let's get that jingle.
Danielito McMahon.
Hey, what's up, Joe? A long time.
I know it's been a little bit.
Definitely been a minute, as the kids say.
Yeah. I mean, you've been halfway across the country, right?
Something like that. And other countries.
In other countries, yeah. You've been north of the border, and I've been waist deep in bike shop activities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just
So I heard and saw.
yeah, just trying to get caught up for the first time in like 2 years, 2.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
We
It's
should have
crazy.
some confetti or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, there was certainly some downtime in the winters, a little bit of downtime in the winters, but I still had bikes hanging around in the bike shop that were in need of parts or where something was out getting fixed, that had been there for 3 or 4 months getting fixed or warrantied. But for the first time in over 2 years, I'm almost at zero. Like, I don't know anybody, anything. Nobody, no bikes, nothing, nothing pending. I'm almost there.
How's it feel?
It's nice. It's like, yeah, I mean, I was at the shop today just looking around and I'm like, man, I really want to get to zero. It's like clearing out I imagine the people that like to clear out their email inbox, that's probably how they feel. I don't care about my email inbox, but,
I care about my work email inbox, but my personal one, no, I've got 8 trillion emails.
yeah,
I mean, they're all read. I am particular about that.
you do read them.
I read them or delete them or do something. Like, I try to keep it really lean.
Yep.
I use filters, they go to different little folders. It's not actually overly elaborate. It's pretty basic, but my work one is definitely separate. The nice thing about my current job, unlike my other job, is the other job was very heavy on email and very light on Slack, the messaging app that businesses like. My current job is the opposite. So they use Slack a lot and very, very little email. But to your point, the personal email, yeah, I mean, I delete some emails, but I basically have like a ton of emails. But in terms of like being read or not, they're all read because that would bother me. I hate having that little icon being like 1.
Yeah.
It'll drive me nuts.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy, but it does.
I get so much stuff, just because of work stuff.
Yeah, in the business.
In the business that there's no way.
All your fans.
Yeah, well, Danny.
Uh-oh.
Oh, funny that you would bring
I
that
said
all
that.
of my fans.
Beautiful segue, Joe.
All of our fans, Danny.
Uh-oh.
We have a legit.
We got fan mail?
Yeah, we have real fan mail.
All right, let's print it out. I want to put it on my wall.
Legit fan mail. I'll forward it to you.
Pull out the dot matrix. We'll get it going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have a real.
I have to print out some directions anyway. So
you're gonna have to hook up the printer.
Remember our episode about MapQuest way back?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I just made a little reference to our own past pods. That means we're getting far.
Well, there's when I think about it. When we did the first one, the season had not even started, and now we're at the tail end of a cycling season. We were talking preseason, and now we're at the final the final Grand Tour of the year kicks off tomorrow. So it's kind of
one of your favorite races.
Yeah,
one of mine too.
La Vuelta.
One of mine too. I'm stoked.
it's promising to be a real race there.
What I love about it is I don't know anything really about it. I know it starts in the Netherlands, Utrecht tomorrow, which is a beautiful town. If you haven't been to, I recommend it. And they have a team time trial, I think.
Yep.
23K or something like that. But honestly, I know almost nothing about this year's Vuelta, like barely anything. So I'm actually pretty stoked. Like it's making me like interested. Like I'm just going to watch it and be like, let's do this. So.
Yeah, they had the team presentations today. As you know, I like to watch the Spanish news on a daily basis, and I did catch that. All
did they mention it like in the mainstream news?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah, the mainstream Spanish news. Yeah,
and they're like, oh, they're over in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's a big, it's a big deal. They're also the network for the Vuelta.
Oh, okay. So it'd be like NBC here, basically.
Yeah, it's the national television of Spain.
What is it?
RTVE.
RTVE. Now, do they have like multiple channels for that? Like ESPN has multiple channels, or is it just one main one?
No, they have. Well, I mean, RTVE is the national television of Spain, and they have a few different outlets. So they have an international channel. They have channel 1 and channel 2. And then
so
they
it's
have
kind of like BBC almost.
Yeah. Well, it is. Yeah, it's the BBC it's the Spanish version of BBC.
Now, how do you watch it? Do you have to jump through hoops to watch that here, or do you just put it on your TV and it's like one of the cable channels?
No, you would have to, go through.
Not like a VPN, but
yeah.
Oh, VPN. Okay, so do you watch it on but you have it hooked up through your TV, so you and Rita can watch it?
No,
or?
I just watch it on my computer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd have to do it that way.
Gotcha.
I'm not super sophisticated as far as hooking my VPN up to my home network. I'm sure that there is a way to do all of that and configure.
If you wanted to,
things.
you could always mirror your laptop to your TV.
Yeah,
that's the quick and dirty way. But
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, Vuelta, I'm stoked. I'm really excited. I love the Vuelta. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, Primož Roglič. They had a long interview with him. He's always in great spirits. He's won it, I don't know, 2 or 3 times in a row now.
Was he speaking Spanish?
No, he didn't. They were translating for him, but he's always he's a pretty gregarious guy, very friendly. Seems very friendly.
I'm not a stats freak, but I thought I saw something. If he wins again, he'll be the record winner for 4 Vueltas.
Oh, well, I mean, he's I think the Spanish public like him a lot. I don't know that they have that Spain has a contender for the overall right now. There's a couple of young kids that are.
Let's just go ahead and say they don't.
They don't.
I wish they did.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite writers, I mentioned it before on the pod, is Mikel Landa. Mm-hmm. I like him a lot. I love his big bushy eyebrows. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's got those smoldering eyes. He's a great writer.
I've heard, and I have a friend who has my friend Andres, who runs the bike school in Spain, the frame building school in Spain that I think I've mentioned on the pod, and I've talked to you about it.
Yes.
Had him in his class.
Oh, sweet.
Mikel Landa.
Back in the day?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
No, not back in the day, like in the last 5 years.
Really? To be a frame builder?
Or
was it something else?
Yes, to build a frame.
So there's Landa, Grand Tour, podium, finisher, probably multiple times. I can't remember.
And my friend didn't figure.
And he's just like, hey, I want to learn how to build a frame.
Well, he didn't. My friend didn't even know he was Mikel Landa, or who he was.
Hey, buddy.
Until like halfway through the class. When
you got to sign up on the sheet.
He said something about the Tour de France.
Well,
yeah. And
last month I did this race, and I was thinking about building my own bike. That's actually amazing. We should get that guy on the pod.
Yeah, he's taken a frame building class. That's how much he wanted to know. He was talking to my friend.
Just when I couldn't like Mikel anymore, there you go, throwing fuel in the fire.
He wanted to understand the bicycle and what it, like the intricacies of frame geometry and, go through the process of building a bike so he could understand it better.
I'm pretty sure Landa hasn't ever won a GT, and I would love it for him to win a GT before he's done. Like, he's still got some good years left, I think. But
I think so.
Because he was like 3rd in the Tour, right? Wasn't he third in the Tour? Let me look it up here.
In this year's Tour?
Yeah.
Really? No. He wasn't. He may have finished 3rd during a stage, but I don't think he's on the podium this year.
Maybe I'm confusing him with someone else. Pro Cycling Stats.
I should mention to people, if they hear some ambient sound, that's Chicago in the background. That's street music
Yes, it
from
is.
down below.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful night here in the city of Chicago. I'm down at the at our North Side studio.
Yes, and it's funny you made that reference
Mm-hmm.
earlier to our first pod, which was at your studio, aka your kitchen table, and now we're at my kitchen table.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for coming up to the north side to Logan Square. Good to have you back on the hood.
Well, yeah, it's good to get down to the city every once in a while,
All right, let me correct my.
as often as I can, actually. So,
Yeah. So let me see. This will drive me nuts if I don't look it up.
I'm gonna have a little.
Oh,
wine.
sorry. He was third in the Giro. My bad. I knew he was third in something. So he's third in this year's Giro.
This year's
Yep,
Giro.
this year's Giro.
I didn't realize he was third.
You know what? He was hovering about, and he just had. I think it was one of those things. Maybe I don't want to discredit him, but I think maybe a couple others had kind of jour sang, you know.
Yeah.
And he, not that he snuck in, but I think he just, he's so consistent, except when he's not. Anyway, so it was Hindley, Carapaz, and Landa, and Nibali and Bilbao were fourth and fifth.
You know, it's funny. Like the Giro and the Vuelta now, the Tour is like a race unto itself now. Like I think even the contenders for that race are like it's like a different tier of rider than what we're talking. Like Landa, Nairo Quintana, even Primoz.
Funny you should mention Nairo.
Yeah,
but
well,
anyway, we'll talk about that.
But even Primoz. Like I don't know if I was putting a list of the contenders for the Tour de France of next year. I don't know that he'd be in the top 5 at this point, right? I mean, it seems like the Tour de France is just, especially now, is just that there's a younger group of guys there that are kind of like the
it's in
first
another
tier
world,
guys.
another level.
Yeah.
I think I like where you're going with this.
Yep.
Where I think you're going is, and it's no discredit to anyone, they're all insanely amazing, talented cyclists, but it's just a different level. It's a slight level down, but it's still an insane level that most humans can't comprehend.
Yeah.
But in some ways, there's the battle between Vingegaard and Pogacar was great. But I do like it when there are more guys in the mix.
Yep.
And I feel like at the Vuelta, you get a little bit more of that, at least for a week or two.
Yeah, no, you definitely get it. There's
It feels more real.
Yep.
And it just feels more like, it's great to have these athletes who walk on water, but it's also kind of boring.
Yeah.
It depends. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying, it's nice to get this break. I want to see guys who are kind of evenly matched, and you see them crack one day and bonk another day. And in the Tour, you don't really get a lot.
And racing a little looser,
Yep.
a little less calculating. They seem to be having a little bit more fun. There isn't the pressure that there is at the Tour, and so at the Tour, just the pressure they're under is it stifles the racing. Because things are so people are so nervous and just so tight, and I get it. I get that it's part of the racing. It's
You
part
have
of
your
the
race director in your ear. And
Yeah, it's-
attack now, don't attack.
Yeah, and every team, every team is under so much pressure there because that's it. That's the biggest race of the year. That's the only reason that some of these teams exist is to race the Tour de France. And,
Right. No, it's their everything.
yeah, and everything else is a bonus.
Yep.
And so it shows. It shows in that. It shows at that race. And whereas the Vuelta and the Giro, they're really the big objective for all these small teams. So those small teams are going super hard.
Yep.
The big teams that missed out on the Tour are kind of they're going hard as well, and so everything it all kind of evens out. Those small guys are trying extra hard. The other guys are kind of one notch, below the Tour de France, and it just makes for really good racing and fun racing.
Oh, I love it. I'm stoked. Yeah.
And there's always one or two kids that stand out or win a stage that will, ascend to the next
Revelation.
level. Yeah.
Hashtag revelations. You know what the Tour reminds me of, Joe? That carnival across the street from your bike shop.
Yeah.
In some ways, very glitzy. Lots of lights, lots of spinning around things, lots of the ode to cotton candy,
all the neon,
yes.
the bright
and
colors.
security and traffic cones. Like it's like a whole thing.
Yeah, Danny's talking about a festival that takes place in our town every year, and he happened upon it over the weekend. The whole town's out. So
that's the tour to me. And then the Vuelta and the Giro, they're a little more like out in the field. Got a handful of people showing up, kind of like more like a cross race. Okay, I'm taking this way too far.
Yeah, no, because there were some big crowds out in the Netherlands.
Oh, definitely
huge crowd.
For sure, especially when it goes abroad.
Yeah,
but even at home, to be fair.
Oh yeah,
COVID aside, but in the Giro, obviously the Italian fans are renowned for their crazy passion, tifosi. There's even a fancy name for them. So yeah, stoked about the Vuelta. Cannot wait. That's tomorrow. That'll make the workday a little more interesting. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
And then we'll cruise into the weekend. But yeah, good to have you up here in the hood. It's been a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
3 weeks, I think, since we've done a show. I think it's somewhere in there. I spoke with a husky mechanic.
That's the love muscle.
The love muscle.
So last week we had a Jure San for like a whole week. And then we had Earl the week before that. I was on. But yeah, so real quick, I just did a little road trip. Went with my better half. We road trip to Toronto, to Montreal, to Buffalo, to Niagara Falls, to Detroit, to Chicago. So we did 1,900 miles. We did probably 2 hours of cycling in there. Rented some city bikes, I think, in Montreal, which was super fun. They have a really cool, Montreal is actually kind of like Chicago. Like you go into different neighborhoods.
Deep dish pizza.
Not so much.
Hot dogs. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing, Danny? Hey.
It's more like, how are you, sir? But everything like emanates from like the lake. And so it kind of comes, they have the beautiful Notre Dame, the Basilica, everything, all the kind of touristy stuff. It's really beautiful down there. But then it emanates up, and then like a neighborhood, it's very clearly pre-war or after architecture, the housing styles. But wow, Montreal had never been. Beautiful, highly recommend it. Can't say enough about it.
Yeah, I had a friend who
everybody should go.
He spent some quality time, like a summer there, working for an airline. Actually, for Iberia, for the Spanish airline.
Oh, there you go.
And he used to rave about a mountain biking park, like downtown, or there was some sort of mountain biking trail accessible from where he was staying. And I know he was staying like down in the city center. And I'm not sure what that's.
The only
all
thing
about,
that rings a bell is they have this, and we only walked through a small part of it, but there's this sizable like park in like the center of the city. And we walked. One day we did like, I don't know, it was over 20,000 steps. We just walked forever, and then we got on some divvy bikes, their equivalent of divvy bikes. But that's the only thing I can think of. I did see some cyclists milling about. Maybe that's what he was on, but
yeah, I know he was doing some mountain biking there, and it just every couple of days that I talked to him, he'd talk about being mountain biking in the city. So
we had fun. We got out of town a little bit. We both needed a little R&R. It was super fun, even though we road tripped the whole time, so it was a lot of driving. But we kind of liked it. I like driving, so I haven't.
So you drove in Canada? Yeah,
I drove the whole way.
Left side of the road, or
Sarah did drive some of the way, but I did probably most of it. No, they're on the right. They're on the right.
Are they on the right side?
They're on the correct side. But it's funny you mentioned that actually. So quick story, not really a story, but when we were entering Canada, so I'd been to Quebec before, and I'd been to Stratford-on-Avon, which is like a replica almost, if you will, of the Stratford-on-Avon in England, that Shakespeare town. For a bunch of plays when I was in grad school, or actually undergrad. But the other time I was up in Quebec with a buddy in the wintertime, that was super cool. But this was my first time up there, and like in a vacation with a girlfriend, let's say. And we're driving along and we very quickly notice they're very, very strict about the speed limit on the highway.
Really?
And they're so strict that first of all, it's in kilometers, so you have to do that quick little adjustment, even though your speedometer shows the kilometers.
Yeah.
But the signs actually have these pretty large signs, and they break it into 3 tiers. So if you're speeding this much, you pay this much. If you're speeding in the next, let's say 10, 20 mile per hour range, you pay this much. And then there's another one. And then one of those is you get arrested on the spot and they confiscate your car. I swear to God. Yeah. I think it's over 30 miles per hour over the speed limit. So let's say it's, 70, you're doing 100, 101. By law, I think they can take your car, arrest you, which I don't know what they would do here. But it seemed really hardcore. So we kind of played it pretty chill.
Wow.
But that was all over Canada.
They have like a radar thing, like a.
I don't know. I did see a few signs that said they're doing like radar patrol either by plane or whatever it was.
Wow.
So that was that. But the roads are amazing, and it's just noticeably cleaner. Toronto was cool. We were only there for a little bit, but then our main thing was like Montreal. So we did 72 hours or so in Montreal, and super cool. By default, they're French speaking. So that was cool. I don't remember any of my French. So I was like, blah, 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 blah. But super cool people. We got reservations for a handful of restaurants.
Dirty French up there. I've heard people talk.
Dirty French.
Well, I've heard French.
Oh la la, Joe.
I've heard French people refer to it as they speak a dirty French.
God, you can imagine the French, even like hearing French outside of France. It sounded pretty good to me, but I can imagine. We did hit up a couple of cool restaurants. One that Bourdain featured in one of his segments, which was super cool, called Joe Beef, which was phenomenal. We had to get reservations pretty far out,
really?
But we managed to. We had to eat pretty early, but it was one of those 6 o'clock dinners. But maybe the best steak I ever had. They had like a lobster fettuccine or linguine and cocktails. Oh my God, it was so much fun.
Montreal
is great. Everyone should go check it out. What a beautiful, beautiful town. We had so much fun. 3 days just wasn't enough. We wanted to stay longer.
I missed a great window. I had a window in my life to spend time in Montreal with people from the Cirque du Soleil.
Wow.
So, yeah, I had a lot of friends at the Cirque.
I'll bet there's a story there somewhere.
There's a great one that I can't tell here. My wife listens to the show. But there's the Cirque.
Joe, stop blushing.
Yeah, I better keep talking, Danny. But yeah, I mean, there was a time when the Cirque du Soleil, when they come to Chicago, they would set up in an open parking lot directly across from the bike shop. This was when I was working at Turin at North Pier, downtown Chicago. There's a big empty lot where right now there's like a giant, I don't know, there's a housing project there. There are, big townhouses and stuff there now. But back in the day, it was just a big open lot.
So it's like the circus came to town.
It was just tents. I mean, early Cirque du Soleil was just, they just had a bunch of tents and they pitch a couple of tents across, big tents, and some trucks, and that's where Cirque du Soleil took place. And as I came to learn, they put everybody up in like guest housing, and they all had apartments and stuff around town because they would park it here for a month, 6 weeks or something, whatever their stay was here in the city. But the first year that they came to Chicago, they had an act, like a high wire act that
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, well, it included what they were doing was riding these bicycles across a high wire.
Yes.
And if you've ever seen Cirque du Soleil, they're in costume, so you don't, they're all like birds. Or some sort of cockatoo, but when you meet everybody, everyone's from a different country. Like these, and so the people on the high wire act, these guys were Chinese.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there were like Russians and Chinese. Every country in the world was,
Right.
like you'd meet people from all over Europe.
They didn't discriminate.
No, they didn't. And they were all in costume. It kind of made them. It was the equalizer.
And on little bikes on high wires.
Well, these guys were Chinese and they were on high wire and they didn't speak any English. So one of the managers brought them over because they needed some help with these bikes. They saw a bicycle shop. They needed some help with the bikes. They needed. We started taking a look at them. They were pointing, and what they needed were cotter pins. And cotter pins are what you use to hold the cranks on a bicycle.
Oh, I know the ones you're talking about.
Yeah, they're like little. They're pins.
Looks like a big, like a heavy duty safety pin.
Not quite a safety pin. So it's just it's kind of it's tapered. So you imagine that the crank arm has a hole in it. The crank itself. The spindle of the bottom bracket. Spindle
I see now. Yeah,
is got like it's got kind of a slit. It's kind of like a half moon.
Yep.
And then you put the crank arm on, then you slam this cotter pin through, and you tighten it down, and it cinches on, and it holds the crank arm on. Well, they needed those. They needed those pins because their cranks were really wobbly.
Did you have those in stock?
Yeah, I mean it's a common part. Around a good bike shop, like you'd have these. They come in different sizes.
Where do you they're kind of, I've heard of them and I've seen them, but like where do you use them on regular bikes?
Old bikes. This is typically on old bicycles or cheap old, cheaper old bikes. So that kind of tells you what they were riding. These were really cheap bikes, and so we started working on these bikes, and then we realized like all the spokes on these bikes were loose.
Oh.
And the handlebars were loose.
Danger.
Everything on these bikes were these bikes were in really, really bad shape. They were riding across the wire, and they were just regular wheels. And they were like 20-inch wheels, so they were smaller wheels, but with no tires. So it was just, they were riding on rims on this wire, like 30 feet up in the air. And these bikes were rickety. I mean, the cranks were falling off, and the seats were. I mean, these were really just really junky.
Did they have a net or safety harness?
No, there was no net. There's nothing.
30 feet. I don't want to.
Yeah, they were way up there. So
I don't want to fall from that height.
So we kind of we're like, you can't be doing this. So we ended up we're like, leave it with us. We're gonna fix them, and we spent the next day, like everybody at the shop was working on these bikes, right? All the mechanics.
Tell me you have photos somewhere. Oh, come on.
I don't know that I have.
That would be amazing.
I don't know that I have photos of that because it was just kind of a thing that we were doing, and we ended up like working on these bikes, but we became such good friends with them that we had kind of carte blanche at the Cirque du Soleil for like whenever they were in.
Nice.
We would walk over and we were friends with everybody. I mean, we helped them out, and with the manager, the guy it turns out that the guy who walked them over was like the head guy. He was like the guy. And so, knowing him, you drop his name at the door, and the Chinese.
So did you see a show?
A lot of them.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, we became very friendly.
I've never seen one. I know they've been around a long time.
You've never seen Cirque du Soleil?
Never.
Wow.
I've seen them, their setup, but I've never been to a show.
Oh, we ended up partying with them. I mean, we became, and a lot of them were return people. So that there was a core group as like the operational people of the Cirque du Soleil were the same people. Sometimes the acts would change within the the production. So instead of the guys on the bikes, there would be somebody who like breathed fire and
of course.
and tap danced or whatever it was.
So they could
something
do different things. They're multi-skilled.
Yeah, well, I mean, they would just switch acts. Like all of a sudden, there would be a lot of Russians on the, there would be a lot of Russians in the production, and not as many of the high wire guys.
Yeah.
So depending, Cirque du Soleil kind of changed. It was a very artsy circus, so sometimes it was like very dance oriented and more artsy, and other times it was like, acrobat. It was a mix of acrobats and art.
Phases, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
wow, that is cool. So you met some cool people there.
A lot of really cool people.
Are you still in touch with any of them?
No. That was kind of I mean, once they stopped, they got big, and then
it got really huge.
Yeah,
Their level went up, and
now they're they were doing the United Center or
Yeah.
something like
Now
that.
it's
I mean,
pretty expensive and
Mhm.
everything.
yeah, but it was great.
That's cool.
It was great. I often think about because I ran into different productions. They had two or three productions of Cirque du Soleil. One that toured the United States, and another one would be in Asia. And then the one, then they would go to South America, and the other one would go to, wherever they would go, somewhere else, another continent.
Kathmandu.
And then, they come back like every 2 years. They would, switch off and come back.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I met different productions, and the guy that I knew, Ugg, his name was Ugg. I'll never forget. His name was Ugg.
How do you spell that?
I think I think he's the original UGG, Ugg. And I just remember being like
the OG.
One time I was actually in Vegas at the production in Vegas, and I went by the Vegas, and I'm like, hey, Ugg? And they're like, who? I'm like, Ugg. He was like, and they asked around a little bit. It's like, oh, Ugg. And I'm like, yeah, is he still around? And he's like, oh, yeah, Ugg. I'm like, so, I mean, people were aware of Ugg.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was my little road trip, and back in the hood, back working, and just enjoying this beautiful weather. We've had this spell of the most pleasant weather I can remember.
Yeah, it's Chicago. I had some people at the bike shop renting bikes today from Portland, Oregon.
Ooh.
And they are in town looking at homes, considering moving here. I think one of the it was a couple, and the lady of the couple was originally from this area, and I think they might be looking at moving back
Willow
here.
Springs area or Chicago or
Chicago in general. I think they were from the north suburbs somewhere originally, but they were quite taken with our mountain biking trails, and I told her husband that that don't believe what he's experiencing right now, because this is like fake weather.
Yeah.
This is not.
You're in the Truman Show right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the ideal. This is like beautiful.
We do this for prospective home buyers. People transplanting to Illinois.
I'm like, come back in January, February. Those short days,
or even like 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks from now.
Like, yeah. You're very lucky.
I'd say we get about, what would you say, 48 weeks of crap weather and about 4 of amazing weather.
Yeah, I think if you had to count if you had
somewhere
to count
around
the
there.
Actual days that we have, like these kind of days, yeah.
I mean, it makes this weather is insane, but that's boring. So that's super cool. But what's been going on at the shop, man? You mentioned you're pretty much caught up.
Catching up with
bikes,
just catching up with work.
Amazing.
I mean, what is it? It's Labor Day is coming up soon, so that's kind of that's a change of seasons. It kind of marks mountain biking season. Things in the suburbs changed a lot. There was a kind of a learning when I moved from working in city shops to the suburbs. Because the kids go back to school. It brings out there's a kind of a phenomenon that takes place at that point in the burbs where moms are now free to ride their bikes in the middle of the day, and because the kids are at school, and
they can shred and send it.
Go out and ride the trail and day drink.
Wait, after they ride?
Or sometimes they show up at the shop already pretty.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was something that I had to get used to. I'm like, oh,
So they have a couple rosés, and then they hit the trails.
They're just.
And then they come in for like a whatever.
Yeah, they're just out and about, and they're ripped. like these women are very happy.
Wow.
Right now in the middle of the day, and it was just kind of it's kind of the thing, like, wow, this is in the city you get you experience different things, but out here it was like
that feels special.
That and the DUI guy, or very suburban, like nobody. You got a DUI in the city, you're not afraid of the local cop busting you. You get back in your car and you drive around if you want. But in those suburbs, in the small town, the local cop knows that he pulled you over and popped you for a DUI yesterday, and so you have to ride a bike.
Yes.
If you live in town,
I know that orange crossover. I've seen you.
Yeah.
I mean, the suburbs are, let's say, notoriously strict when it comes to drunk driving, which I think is perfect and awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not against it, but it was just something that I had never, I didn't have people in the bike shop that were DUI cyclists, and in the suburbs I have like, yearly I came to know a couple of them very well because they were 2-year DUI guys.
You know what's really sad? Growing up, I remember, I have a couple memories, not sharp memories, but I remember just like seeing someone, I'd be in someone's car, either a siblings or a friends or on a bus or whatever it was. But I would see someone like Oaklawn area, Chicago Ridge, Oaklawn, Burbank, Bridgeview, that kind of area. And I would see an older, almost always gentleman, kind of riding, kind of like a crappy mountain bike.
Yeah.
Kind of like over the Harlem Bridge or something like that, or on Southwest Highway, somewhere like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I don't know who it was, but I just remember whoever I was with commenting like, "Oh, look at that guy. Probably got a Dewey,"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And, I look back on that. I'm like, God, that's terrible. Like, it's terrible to like stigmatize cycling that way. Like, he could have been a totally normal, healthy guy, sans DUI.
Yeah.
And
but
that's like crazy, right? Did you ever anything like that? Because I know I had it more than one or two times, like people commenting like, "Oh, an older person riding a bike on the sidewalk must be because of a DUI," or. And I look back, I'm like, wow, that's like horrible.
I mean, I think that there's just there's always been people that kind of slam older people riding bikes or someone on a bike.
Yeah,
right?
And even pedestrians, if you're walking around some of the suburbs,
an assumption
people are like, oh, what's going on? Are you like a psychopath? Are you like on the lam? Like, and it's
you're poor or you're down and out.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you be walking?
Or you must be
why
talking
would you
to
be
yourself?
riding a bike? Yeah.
It's stigmatized. It's just crazy. And I always remember just being like, yeah, like kind of like laughing along, but not really. Kind of like, what? Like,
I think it's,
it's sad.
I know it's gotten better.
Yeah.
I know it has gotten better because it's,
I hope so.
Well, I'm on the south side. So, I mean, I'm like, I see it. I see, and I mean, I have customers who, these are people that probably would not have been riding bikes 20 years ago, and now.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, 20 years later, they're riding bikes. They're riding bikes for fun. They're riding. I wouldn't even say that a lot of them are. They're having fun now, but I think their reasoning for picking up a bike was probably health related. In fact, there's a lot of people where I'm like, I see them, they come in and I'm like, obviously not a rider, 40, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, 100 pounds overweight, looking to start riding. And I'm very out in the open about it. I'm like, doctor said you got to ride a bike, right? And I'm like,
wow.
And I lay it right out there. Do not buy a cheap bike. Give yourself the best opportunity to be successful. You've walked into the bike shop.
Yep.
You're making the effort. You found the right guy. I'm not going to sell you a cheap bike. I'm going to tell you what you need. And, whether you buy it from me or not, but I would advise you to take my advice.
Get a good quality bike.
Well, you're here in the shop.
Yeah.
You've come this far.
Yes.
It's hard enough.
You made the most important step.
You made the biggest step. You've come out. You're telling, you've come here and you've said to me, I need to ride a bike. You're not a bike rider. I know you're not a bike rider. We know that. And it's okay. I'm like your doctor right now. I'm going to help you. I want you to,
Dr. Joe.
Well, I want you to be successful here.
Of course.
I want you to. I think
you're spot on, man.
So I have no. We're health and wellness.
Buy a bike. you will want to ride.
Buy a bike. Don't let the bike be the thing that stops you.
Yeah.
Don't be, it's like I said, it's hard enough to get off the couch and do this thing. If you have to get on a bike that's a torture device, for sure you're not going to do it. And then what? And then, you're not going to get healthy, and, you're not going to succeed at losing the weight and fixing what ails you.
So I assume you set them up with the TT bike?
Yeah, of course.
Full,
slam it.
12,000 internal.
140 stem.
cables,
Oh,
TT bars.
looking sweet.
Full disc wheels.
Yep. Shorts, bibs,
It was a nice bike to
chamois
cruise
cream,
around
all
in.
that stuff. No, but
We hear so many stories like this, which seriously is amazing. Like,
yeah.
not just physical health, mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked a lot about this, but it's amazing what the bike can do. And then if you actually have access to those trails,
Mm-hmm.
payless, but then also the bike path,
The paved trails across the
paved
street.
trails as
Mhm.
well,
Yep.
like all of that. It's amazing. I mean, you could think like, okay, bottom worst case scenario, either do nothing, like sit on your sofa and watch TV,
Yeah.
and maybe even eat bad food
Yeah.
or do other
Yeah.
things that are not good for you. And then you have this other extreme where you can go ride a bike for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It'll make you thirsty, so now
Yeah.
you're drinking more water.
Yeah.
Oh, now you feel kind of like, kind of inspired. Now you want to like eat something a little better. Maybe you want to come back tomorrow and do it again. And
Mhm.
next thing you know, you're like, you don't have to go extreme, but
Yeah.
those are great stories.
I mean, part of it is just where I'm at now in my life,
Mhm.
and I guess I'm the older guy in the shop. I'm the shop owner. I'm the older guy. I look around me now, and the people that were my bosses are leaving the business now. That leaves me.
Yeah, man.
There's not a lot of people around. We're
You're
up.
the new OG.
Yeah, and so we know what we're talking about. So I'm not afraid to lay it out there and tell people the truth. And I mean, I've refined my pitch over the years, but and I'm not mean about it. I joke about it a little bit, but most of the people I'm talking to are close to my age. I mean, there are not a lot of people that are.
You know how to talk to people.
Yeah, I know how to talk to people.
You can be frank, candid, without being like a jerk.
Yeah, no, and they appreciate it because they don't have to explain to me. I know what they want, and and it's great because I would say most of the people are like they're accepting of the message, and we'll get the bike and do the thing. I'll get them started, and for quite a few people, they've been success stories.
That's great, man.
Yeah, they're riding. We're 3-4 years in. They're riding.
Isn't that amazing? And then you see them, like just that relationship, and you just see them. They're a little lighter.
Oh yeah,
looking happier.
Yeah.
They even like look a little younger.
yeah. Oh, I can't tell you. Like there's somebody in the shop right now where I had a big fight. It was kind of a.
Did you win?
Ultimately, yeah, I have.
It was imagine you like UFC coming off the raft.
Oh no, but it was like somebody I had to convince is somebody in a similar, riding a bike for similar reasons, but he was getting flat tires, super frustrated, and I just had to lay it out there for him. I'm like, dude, those tires are cheap. Those are cheap tires.
Stop riding
on your
over
bike.
glass.
Stop riding. I'm like, let me spend the money. Because I've been trying to talk him into I'm like, you gotta.
It's like the old joke to the doctor. It hurts when I do this. Doctor says, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So did you upgrade the tires?
Yeah.
Fewer flats?
Never got a flat again.
Isn't it funny how that works?
Amazing.
See, that's where little shops,
Uh-huh.
big shops too, but that's where shops come in.
Yeah.
You can't get that online. Like you and Earl talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go find it
Yeah.
online, but a lot of people I think aren't going to do that.
Mm.
So you need someone who's like, yeah, you're getting a lot of flats. Look at the tires you got.
Yeah, this is what you need.
Here's what a good tire looks
Yeah.
like. Look at the tire you got.
Dude, 5 years later, he's getting his second set of the same tires. He's like, Joe, you got to give me those tires.
5 years? Are
Well,
they like gator skins or something?
They were Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires.
Marathon is right.
Yeah. No, they're
5-year marathon.
Yeah, very good tires. They're just heavy duty go-to German tires. So, yeah.
Well, it's funny the big ones, the Schwalbe or however you say them in the Continental.
Schwalbe.
Both German.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so cool. So yeah, I just remember like being a kid and seeing like someone riding a bike, and I'm like, it's such a crazy environment that I was in that way, because it was so looked down upon. Like, they were a loser.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't afford a car. And now I'm like, damn it, that's me. But I can afford a car.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
had cars. I sold it.
Yeah.
I can, I want to go out and ride my bike. Obviously, times have changed, but especially now that I'm in the city and the suburbs is a little different. But to be honest, I know you have like the trails around you, the paved trails and all this kind of stuff. But to be honest, I have to say in general, I still don't see many people riding and walking in the burbs in general.
No.
When I go out, like visiting you,
Mm-hmm.
whether I'm on my bike or driving, I still don't really, we don't really have that infrastructure, and it's clearly not a priority. And
Yeah, it's
I
too
get
bad
it.
because I think people would ride bikes more often to and from, and like use them to get groceries or do short trips if there were safer routes, if there was a safe way to do it.
Yeah, like if I have a couple different routes I take to you, but
Mm-hmm.
I always pretty much end up on Willow Springs Road anyway.
Yep.
Which is generally a nice kind of road to ride.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some elevation, and
Mm-hmm.
but it's got some high speed traffic, and it's got these itty bitty shoulders and whatever. It is what it is. But
Yeah, it's tough to tell people to go out there and ride those roads. I'm fortunate that we have those trails around us, and so I do see a lot of people riding bikes around there. But you're absolutely right that there isn't a lot of infrastructure out there that makes it easy for people to ride bikes.
Yeah, I mean,
in fact, there's a lot of barriers to riding bikes out there.
yeah,
In the town that I'm in, it's difficult to get to. It's difficult to get to our town from the east of us because there's some major interchanges there, and makes it difficult to get into town.
yeah, there are a few. You have to be a little bit careful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say like there's been great improvement in like cities, urban areas, things like that,
Yeah.
and maybe even a little bit beyond. But what we got Buttigieg still in office. He was transpo guy for the government. I think he's done some good stuff, but yeah,
Still a long way to go.
It's a long way to go, and who knows if it'll ever change. I mean, we're car centric, and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
To fight against that, in a sense, is absurd. But I think we can definitely make some inroads, no pun intended, over time. But nonetheless, 30, 40 years later, I still go to the burbs, and if I see someone walking or riding a bike, it still kind of like catches my attention.
still catches.
Kind of like not for the right reason.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, oh, hey.
Yeah. Well, I guess compared to when we were riding bikes out there, where it was just like really just you, me. We knew the 3 or 4 people that rode road bikes in that area. There are a lot more people out there on the road riding, so I guess that's a good sign. But there's also a lot more traffic, like tons more traffic.
There are more cars, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, and everywhere around us, those used to be pretty quiet roads there during the day. I mean, they're all that farmland are now subdivisions, mega subdivisions, and it's just more and more people. Mm-hmm. They're putting up some townhomes in the town that we're in, and there's probably going to be another 1,000 people that are coming into town in the next year and a half. So, I mean, our town is going to increase by almost 20% in the next year. So
that's ginormous.
Just with that project. So
they're going to need bikes, Joe.
About time, man. I'm like, maybe I'm at the right end of this thing. Finally,
get some wins.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. I mean, it's good for business. It'll be good for the town, I hope. I know some of the old timers are they're weary of all the new traffic and stuff that's coming to town. But on the business side, I guess it's a good thing. So.
Do you want to disclose any of your potential plans for the shop?
No, I think we're still kind of on.
Going to keep it under wraps for now?
No, well, I'm still on target to start redoing the shop this fall, probably after Labor Day. Start doing some painting.
Some of the plans sound exciting.
I've been doing getting back into fit. Fit first, buy later is my whole thing. That'll be kind of the, going back to kind of basics and the way that the entire bicycle industry, anybody who knows bikes, the guys that really run a responsible bike shop know that that you should get fit before you buy a bike. That, at the very least, you should get measured for, figure out what bike size you ride, and good shops that consider themselves like a road bike shop or a decent quality shop should have some sort of fitting system, some sort. I mean, I'm not telling you to be I'm not saying that every shop needs to be a Retool certified shop or, BG Fit or whatever, specialized thing they're doing. They own Retool these days, but I don't think you need to do all of that. But you'd be surprised how many people that come into my shop that that have been obviously shopping or who have been shopping, because they tell me they've been shopping at other places, and that nobody's ever bothered to measure them for a frame size.
I believe it.
Just never been measured for a frame. I'm like, so how do they fit you for a bike? You're just standing over the bike and kind of lifting. They're like, yeah, exactly like that.
Does it hit your crotch?
Yeah, like that. Like, can you stand over and clear the top tube, right?
1 inch, yeah.
And so
the old.
Yeah, well,
which as a general guide is not bad advice.
Yeah, well, although it's really bad now with sloping top tubes.
It's short-lived.
Well, sloping top tubes did away with that, and every bike now has a sloping top tube. So
you could actually get a very bad misreading if you do that with
super. I mean, because you
could be an inch over it, but actually the bike could be way too big.
I could clear a 58. With a sloping top tube.
Yeah,
doesn't mean I should ride a 58.
Right.
So. Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and say the vast majority of bike shops I've been to don't have a trained fitter, and they would have, I'm sure, sold bikes and don't even
all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. I mean, and I don't even.
Which is kind of like stating the obvious. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to make it sound like a surprise, but
they should. If
you look at it from a fundamental truth, which I think it is, it should be the case.
Yeah, I don't think you even need a trained fitter. I'm not asking you to have a trained fitter. I'm just saying, have some, hold the book between somebody's legs and measure.
Trained in quotes.
Yeah, I mean, just like
the basics.
Yeah. Figure out what frame size that person is, and kind of understand, like, well, that guy's 20 pounds overweight. He's
what's your inseam?
Yeah.
Many people we've seen this a million times. I just remember seeing people eyeball it
all the
time. They kind of measure, put it up their hip.
Yeah.
And it's cute, but it's also like, oh my God, no.
And
then they ride out and you're like, that bike is way too small or way too big or something.
We're still selling bikes like that in the bike world. I mean, and not cheap bikes, like very expensive bikes. And so it drives me nuts.
It would drive me nuts too, because so much goes into that. But for me, the biggest takeaway would be if you're not comfortable on the bike, no matter how much you like it aesthetically, how many people say that's a cool bike.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not comfortable on it, you're just not going to continue to ride it.
You're not going to ride it.
You're not going to ride it, or you'll ride it very minimally, and it'll just be, like you said before, I'm not sure the word you use, but it's going to be like drudgery. You're going to be kind of like, like miserable. Like, you have to ride this bike. Like, it's like when you're a kid borrowing like your brother's like big 10 speed, and you're just constantly racking yourself just to go to the concession stand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you get home and you're like, oh my God, I have a tummy ache.
Yeah. We had a big discussion about this on, I'm part of that National Bicycle Dealers Association. So,
ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Professional word behind
you. I'm a dude.
Well, I think it's cool. It sounds like you got
talking about that stuff, talking about putting some sort of guide, doing something to like try to teach people what they should expect when buying a bicycle. And if that shop isn't doing that, then they should walk out. They should just leave, because I mean, or at the very least, find a place, get fit, figure out what size you need, and then go armed with that to, then do your shopping, but understand what it is that you're looking for. And so at least, it'd be too bad if in some cases, you'll know more than the person that's selling you the bike.
I think there should be, and I think you can do it because I think you have the knack for this, but just some really good, clear, basic marketing around it.
Yeah.
For example, if you look up Bike Fit now, or you see some of the road mags, again, we're a little biased. We're in a little bit of a bubble, but it would seem to me, if you were just someone who's like, hey, I ride a little bit, I want to ride some more, I'm thinking about a fit.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. If you go online, what you might find are the really expensive fits.
Yeah.
250, 500
Oh yeah.
or more.
Mm-hmm.
It's guys who are, men and women looking
Mm-hmm.
to hone their time trial position, to be better racers, whatever. Like just total like extreme edge case.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the whole population, I think it'd be really clever if someone just came in and said, "Hey, like just a basic bike fit." I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying maybe it's $75, but just something like basic,
Yeah.
like a basic bike fit. Like here are the benefits. And do you want to find the exact right bike?
Mm-hmm.
Like people go out of their way to find the right pair of jeans,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Online buying clothes, like free shipping returns is like the big thing, right?
Yep.
Because they know people are going to go through so much
Mm-hmm.
back and forth, but they don't do it for bikes. They go and they kind of blindly buy a bike. It kind of looks like the right size. Oh, I like that color. I'll just go with that color, even though it's maybe a 56 instead of a 54.
Well, you know what?
Do you know what I mean, though? Like,
it's but
just make it really simple.
Yep.
And be like, we do bike fits.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get you you want to ride the bike that you like, and here's how you get there.
Well, and
Here's the basic key. Give them like 5 points. Like, let's find your inseam. Let's find this. Let's find this.
Well, and the thing is that you're talking about pants, right? Just using pants as an example. Bikes, I guess you could break bikes down into like skinny jeans, right? Those are your road bikes,
Fixies,
right? Those are kind of like your high zoot racing bikes, right? Your road bikes, your aero
like
road bikes. Those are like your skinny jeans, right?
Track, something like that.
Yeah, and then you've got your loose fit, your straight leg jeans, right? And those are kind of
like
your
Seinfeld jeans.
Yeah. I mean, those are your roomier jeans. Those are kind of like your
Hybrids?
endurance road bikes, I guess.
Endurance road, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hybrids I kind of see as like overalls or something.
Oh,
kind of like moo-moos.
Sweatpants.
Yeah. Sweatpants. Those are kind of like sweatpants, very loose fitting. The rules around.
Speaking of Seinfeld, he has a great quote on sweatpants. That's when you know you've given up on life.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
but you're on a good line.
Yeah. Those sweatpants are kind of
Where
like the
unicycles
hybrid.
fall in here, Joe? That's basically
those are overalls. Those are overalls.
That's a naked bike ride.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, bikes are that's how distinct they are too, right? You've got the road bikes is a very generic term these days because what kind of road bike are you talking about? These days, like the everyman's road bike is the gravel bike, I guess. That's become the everyman's road bike.
I don't know if you saw, but Bicycling Magazine, full disclosure, a former employer of mine, they had an article out recently, which I thought was pretty interesting. I think it was Matt Phillips who wrote it. He's their main tester, a lot of experience. But the gist of it was, I think it was headlined or titled, "Stop Calling Road Bikes Racing Bikes."
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, to us, it's kind of like, yeah, but like, I think it makes like a really good point. Like, most, what we've talked about, most people don't belong on a racing bike, period. End of no argument, like end of discussion. Like people, for sure, a lot of people can do road bikes, but now we're talking, like you said, the endurance bikes.
Yeah, there's different categories now, and those bikes literally don't fit you. Like, I mean, in the eyes of a trained person and a properly fit bike, like it's impossible to make one of those bikes really fit most people properly. Now you can put a stem on there, you can put a high-rise stem on there, mess up the handling of the bike. It goes against the way that bicycle was designed to.
Yeah, you're literally reverse engineering it, but not even in a good way.
No, yeah. I mean, you're making the bike unstable, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of really, that bike was not designed to be ridden that way. And probably will handle horribly.
Totally. Yeah, and like you said, you could actually make it a little bit dangerous. Just so you're going to be unstable.
Yeah, super twitchy bike.
Do you think, Joe? Sorry, but do you think that we've come a long way? And actually, maybe this is where we don't often commend the big mass-produced bike manufacturers like Trek, Specialized, Giant, etc. But do you think this is actually where we can say, "Hey, like, nice work," in that endurance bikes, all-around bikes, whatever you want to call them, are now like very common, whereas maybe even 5, 7, 10 years ago, they weren't. We're still like hung up on race bikes.
I think that they're.
Or am I being too generous?
Yeah, you're being very.
I mean, they're
generous.
definitely going. I get there's a marketing thing. They want to make money, but
Yeah.
But I do feel a little bit better when I see a lot more endurance bikes and all around bikes, as opposed to road bikes.
Yeah, well,
like slam stems and like people who just don't belong on them.
Yeah,
including me. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did that 10, 15 years ago. I don't think that's the bike for me now.
I think our industry is very reactive as opposed to being proactive about that kind of stuff. So. They're finally doing it, but they should have done it a long time ago. I mean, this is something that a company like, say, like Specialized, that kind of runs the world of performance bikes. They probably control a lot of the media coming out of the Tour de France. Because they sponsor so many teams, and they could go to NBC and say, hey, I want to do a story about endurance road bikes versus the stuff that you're seeing here. But they continue to promote that high Zoot Aero road bike versus, they could very easily do a story about, hey, this is the bike that the guy in the Tour de France is riding. This is the kind of bike that a normal person
weighs 142 pounds.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
He climbs mountains all day.
Yeah, and he rides 8 hours a day, every day, and he can do things.
He literally rode his bike more than you drove your car last year.
And there's only a handful of people in the world that can do that, and they're all here, right? And I mean, I think I've mentioned this before. The Ferrari makes, Formula One cars. That's not what they sell at the store. That's not what they're selling at the Ferrari dealership.
Right. It's too much car.
Yeah, I mean, but in the bike world, we're hung up on like, oh, whatever the guy's riding in the Tour de France, you can go and buy, in 2 months at the bike shop.
Buy it at your shop. It's like,
why?
That seemed cool when I was younger, and now I'm like, ooh, that's actually not cool.
I mean, that's
a good analogy of the F1 Ferrari car.
Yeah, I mean, they really are. Like some of that stuff that they're selling, it's like, I get it. I get it. I mean, I get that you can do it, but why are you making it so difficult for the, why are you making it so difficult for the consumer? Why do you have to sell them on that feature? So, hidden internal cabling, right? Like who needs, what average suburban lawyer or doctor or the guy who can afford a $10,000 bike needs
literally no one
needs that. Needs a $200 cable change, right? Or some sort of adjustment. Yeah, I mean, if I have to change a hydraulic brake line in one of those bikes, it's got to be a $200 repair. I mean, it's a huge operation to redo that bicycle, right?
Yeah.
And why? Well, like, what is it? I mean, it's aesthetics, I guess, but it's not aerodynamics. Because
I do like, you're right. I do like that. Again, maybe I'm being too generous, but I do like that. I do see, if you go to the lakefront, if you ride up north, Sheridan Road up to Fort Sheridan, what have you, even when I come out to you on the south side, I see fewer race bikes in general. That's just a general impression. I see fewer race bikes.
Yep.
And I see a lot more, endurance bikes, all-around bikes.
Gravel bike.
Gravelly bikes.
Yep.
Even on the road, just cruising along. Fatter tires, more relaxed geometry.
I've noticed that over the last couple of years.
A little bit taller.
Yep.
They're still racy. Like you can still hammer on those bikes and do a group ride.
Oh yeah,
compete.
Yeah.
But it's just not that same. Yeah, like which now looks a little bit ridiculous. I feel like if you're going to ride one of those, you better be using it. You better be using it for like the right purpose.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just feel it's a little bit silly.
I just wish we would, as an industry. I mean, I do at my shop. I do this, but I wish that people that control the messaging. I wish they weren't afraid to talk to the people that are buying their bikes and just lay it out for them. Like stop with all the racer stuff. I get it. get that there's racer stuff. I get that, all that cool stuff that you do, but you don't have to lead with it. It's a thing that you do, but, talk to the people that are buying your bikes, because those are, I have to jump through hoops to get them to understand what they need to ride. And then they kind of look at you askew, like, are you giving me the right information? Because I saw this on the Tour de France, and this is
Bob
what
Roll said.
this is
riding this 14
like
bike.
I'm like, I know, but then I have to explain to them that those guys are 140, and if I do my job, yes, they end up at the end of the day, they end up on the right bike. But it's another obstacle.
Yeah, and it can feel kind of like intense, or
sometimes you even lose the sale, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, it could feel like
walk out.
You can even imagine turning people off, even if you're doing it perfectly.
Yeah.
Because people are like, I want this bike, and this guy wouldn't even sell it to me.
Yeah.
He's trying to tell me about this other bike, probably trying to rip me off. It's like, no, it's like, I'm trying to get you into a better bike.
I'm trying to help you, and chances are, that they're going to go to the other place, and they're probably just going to sell him what he wants.
And he'll ride it 8 times, 12 times that summer,
and then we lose someone who wanted to become part of the sport.
Yeah. And then after like 3 summers, he might try to sell it and lose like over half of what he paid for.
Mm-hmm.
To Pro's Closet. I'm a little bit optimistic in the sense that I do see a lot of folks riding these bikes, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't repeat it enough. It's still a fast bike. These are like really good performance bikes.
They're super fast,
but they're comfy.
Yeah,
they're comfy.
Yeah,
and this is my other point. So a lot of them too are very, very high end. You know this, but like, it's not like you're giving up, material, giving up performance. A lot of the endurance bikes. I mean, you can buy a $12,000 endurance bike. The highest group set, the best wheels,
everything,
the best carbon layup, the best components, beautiful paint jobs, etc. You can still have that bike. It's just not the race bike anymore. Now it's the endurance race.
Yeah, some companies like Scott even use the same exact material, the same carbon fiber,
same everything, but different geometry.
Yeah. Same look, same everything, but they have a couple of different models, and one's the race geometry and one is the endurance geometry. And
do you see what Canyon did real clever there? Their marketing folks.
No,
the model is called Endurace.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they're not that's
the model.
That's another good company. That's another company that's doing like an endurance performance road.
Did you hear who just started investing in them?
No.
Really?
No, I didn't know.
A certain NBA star.
LeBron James.
Really?
LeBron James and Canyon.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, that's big.
King James is now his, I don't know if he has a fund or what's going on, but LeBron, I tweeted it when around the time the news came out, because there was a funny email I got. Well, to me, it looked funny given the context. Let me just pull up the news here to make it really clear. Velo News had this scoop here. LeBron James invests in Canyon bicycles. This is the latest in a line of cycling investments and initiatives for the NBA superstar.
Wow.
He has 4 NBA MVP and 4 Finals MVP trophies to go along with his 4 NBA titles, 18 All-Star selections, and presumably now a Canyon bike sitting in his garage.
Wow.
That's a good lead, William Tracy. I know Will Tracy. He's cool. He's from Peloton. LeBron James has invested $30 million in the German bicycle company through LRMR Ventures, his firm that manages his investments, partnerships, and brand.
$30 million.
American private equity firm SC Holdings is also involved in the investment, which was announced today. Canyon's founder, Roman Arnold, says the brand wasn't actively looking for investment. However, the cachet of having a name like LeBron James associated with its brand no doubt played a role in moving forward with the deal. Quote, while we were not actively looking for new investors, LRMR and the SC team immediately understood our mission to build the world's most inspiring and innovative bike company, said Arnold, et cetera, et cetera. So we know LeBron has, if you Google image him, you'll see him on his cool, big old mountain bike.
Cannondale.
We've all seen that.
Custom
Cannondale.
Custom Cannondale, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like I've seen him invest in a few things, but that was really cool. So I just happened to get this email probably the day after but it was kind of funny.
Interesting.
And the email, I just kind of tweeted a screen grab from it, but they had an email out that was something like Canyons offering, like, don't forget, it was something like Canyons got like all these great tall bikes. Like it's got all these like great big frames. And I was just like, oh, the LeBron effect. But that's cool when you have a big name coming into the sport, whether it's Canyon or whoever else.
I'm building a bike. I can't say for who yet.
Wow. Oh yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm building a bike for one of his former teammates right now. So I'm 1 degree of separation.
I know the guy who you.
I'm 1 degree of separation from LeBron James.
There you go.
LeBron James.
Next thing you know, he's investing in 2B.
Hey. Oh, it's okay.
A certain bike shop.
That's all right. It's okay. Oh, you know what? It's a good thing you mentioned the shop. So here's a good. Let's go. Since we're doing letters,
we're having a breakthrough in therapy right here.
We're reading stuff right now, Danny. We got a letter. I think I mentioned this before.
Oh, schnizzle. All right. Let's hear it. Let's hear the bad news first.
It's hey BSS exclamation point. Ooh. Hey BSS. I just found your podcast and am absolutely loving it.
Ooh.
I just moved back home to Chicago from Boulder, Colorado in January.
Get out.
I wrenched for a few years at University Bicycles. So he's a mechanic, Danny. Maybe he'll come and work for me.
Dude.
No, I don't know. I don't know. He's welcome to.
Why don't you get on that?
He's welcome to apply.
Did you reply to this?
No. I told him I would address it on the show. That's exactly what I said. I will address this on the show.
Live.
Stay tuned.
Here we go.
Yeah. I wrenched for a few years at University Bicycles. I grew up in Palos, and now live
home.
And now live in Pilsen.
Nice.
So maybe on my way home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is on your way home.
Since moving back, I thought I would be greeted by mostly roadies and fixies, but I'm very happy to find you guys with a much wider approach to bikes. Mm-hmm. Hey, check us out. A wide approach.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, you ride kind of a city single speed bike around town. You got the road bike. Your girlfriend's on an electric bike. You do divvies. I mean, we don't discriminate against any kind of bike.
We don't.
No.
All roads, all adventures, all body types, all ages.
Yeah, the right tool for the right job.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Much wider approach to bikes. I consider myself a mechanic first and a rider second. Not sure why, but I love it. I'm sure y'all know. I do. I'm currently listening to Stage 6, and I really love your take on how brands are dividing rather than uniting. See, he works in a bike shop. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
Resonating, Joe, your message.
You got the big S in your shop or you got the big T?
Yeah.
Well, you got to be one or the other these days, Danny, as a bike shop.
Our nation is divided.
Yeah. You're a tier or a S'er, one or the two. And they even have their own fit systems. Like they have their own. It's like their whole thing.
Everything.
Oh God.
You got to pick one.
These guys drive me crazy. Dividing rather than uniting. I typically revolve around MTB and gravel, but have always been road curious. Well, maybe
road curious.
He can explore his curiosity with us. Maybe,
spandex.
One of these days, right? It's all the rage these days. Try something new.
Try a skin suit.
Mm-hmm. We can get him one of those, right? Out here, I've loved being able to ride it all on my Canty acoustic. Got another guy.
Beautiful.
Yeah, good use of acoustic. Surly Pack Rat and Karate Monkey. So he's a surly guy. I'm a surly shop.
Is Karate Monkey the name of a bike, a model? Okay.
Yeah, it's a Karate Monkey. It's a mountain bike.
I love that.
I just love riding my damn bike wherever I decide to go.
America.
Keep doing what you're doing. I'll be pushing through all your episodes and looking forward to new ones.
Awesome.
Okay, here it goes. P.S. Do you run? I can't figure it out. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Oh.
All the best, Andrew Quinlan.
Wow.
Yes.
Good Irishman.
Yeah. So that was something that came in while you were out of town.
Do we have a little announcement going on here at the moment, or are we?
No, I'm going to beep all that out. I'm going to beep. Because he figured.
Damn, I thought this was the secret revelation.
He figured it out.
He figured it out.
This is the kind of guy that I'm. This is exactly.
It's
what
probably
I was
pretty
going for.
easy if you can Google.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I'm making it very easy. If you care, you'll figure it out.
That's so funny.
You'll figure
but
it out.
That's what a lovely. First of all, Andrew, right? So
Andrew, yeah.
Thanks, Andrew. Lovely words.
He's it. He is exactly.
He's our like our perfect demo. Like he's kind of like our perfect listener.
He's in our wheelhouse, right? He's that guy. He's a bike shop and worked at a bike shop, bike mechanic. Mm-hmm. Maybe not it doesn't sound like he's working in bike shops right now, but he's worked in a bike shop, and it sounds like he's probably has somebody who nudged him out of the business or just life. At some point you're just
you never know.
Nobody ever wants to leave the bike shop. The bike shop is it's Disneyland. It's the club. But at some point, the light turns on and you got to leave.
And then you see the roaches.
Yeah. And some of us stay around and we see all the sticky floor and we deal with all the garbage and somebody's got to clean the bathroom and empty the garbage.
Take out the grease trap.
Oh, all that stuff. So,
but thanks, Andrew. Kind words.
Yes.
Thanks for listening. That's amazing. And thanks for writing in. That's super cool.
If
other folks want to write in, that's cool. And wow, what a lovely letter.
Yeah.
And
stay in touch with us.
Sounds like he knows bikes, but he's also of a general mindset. Like he can just appreciate riding and that's kind of how we are.
That's our vibe.
It's our vibe. It's our deal. Yeah. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's nice, right?
That's a great letter.
It's kind of like when I read it, I thought, wow, this is it.
Yeah.
This was it. If we reached one person out there and they could connect with us, that's great. But people have downloaded our show.
All right.
And so we have people, I see our numbers there and they're growing little by little. So I thank you to everybody who's downloading the show and
yeah, for sure.
And definitely reach out because I'd like to know why you're listening or how you came about listening to the show. And as you can see, we'll customize the show just for you if you write in.
Of course. That is very cool. I love when people write in, and it'd be cool to, I'm just thinking down the road, but it'd be cool down the road if we have our meet and greet.
Yeah.
Hey, you listeners, you want to come?
Oh, that's the ultimate goal.
Come on a little ride. We'll end up at a little brewery, have a beer, have a taco, just meet some people.
Down the road from that, Danny, come with us. We're taking a ride in the Pyrenees mountains.
Ooh.
That's really what I'd love to do. We know all these places. We've been there.
Why not?
Right?
Yes.
You've been on the French Riviera, Danny. You know your way around there, right?
Yeah, I used to hang with Jay-Z and Beyonce on their yacht in Saint-Tropez.
Well, I mean,
I made that part.
You know where they park their yacht.
I was going to say.
You can point over.
I've been restricted from entering the area, but no, that's...
But I mean...
No, but you're right, though. That actually would be super cool.
Those places are accessible. Like people, I will talk to people about some of these places, and they're like, oh, and it's like, it seems like this far off land, like that's inaccessible, right?
Like a utopia.
And I'm like, no, and these places are the Disneyland for they're the amusement park for people who like to ride bikes.
And it's actually a lot more doable than I think people realize.
It's totally doable.
Like obviously flights are a little crazy right now, but you can still find deals.
Yeah.
And when things maybe normalize a tad, like it's not that crazy. You can find some good deals, and depending on where you stay, bring your bike.
Yep.
It's, like a week, do like 5 nights, something like that. You can ride in the foothills of the Alps.
Yeah.
Where all the pros train, East Monaco. You can go down to Andorra. You can go to...
the whole coast of Spain.
Right around San Sebastian. You can go to...
Calpe and Girona and all these places.
A lot of that is totally doable. And you don't have to spend $5,000 to do it. You can do it for a couple grand, depending on how.
And you
how
got to pay
wanna
us to hang out with us too.
Well, you got to. I mean, that's huge.
I mean, you can do it on your own, but really to have fun,
You have to pay ones and tens of dollars.
No, but you know what? I would be more than happy to arrange something if we can get enough people to go.
We'll get some kits, some T-shirts.
Yeah, all that a musette, a musette bag.
Yes.
Oh,
Water bottles. No, it'd be super fun, seriously, because I think just, it's one thing when you have folks, and it's no shame on anyone, but, it's one thing when you have folks from like these cycling meccas like Boulder and places like that, certain places in California. But when you're like coming from Chicago, and I know some people do like the Trek travel things and all these ones, and that's cool. But I feel like this one could be really real, kind of organic. Like,
yeah,
we're just like dudes kind of figuring it out too, but we know some stuff. So here's how we're going to do it. And if you're game for it, we're going to, if you're cool for winging it a bit, we'll do it up. We'll have the site, we'll have the routes, and we'll have the details, but we're not going to overproduce it. We're going to keep it a little bit loose.
Yeah, like I was like, Christian Vandevelde just got done. He just wrapped up some sort of like cycling excursion, with Hublot watches and like, it looked very ritzy,
super high end.
It looked very high end. It looked I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I don't have a white shirt like that for dinner.
Yeah.
Just like, it just looked a little too.
Maybe he's got one of those wrinkle-free ones.
Yeah, it just looked, and I know Christian. I like Christian. He's a super nice guy, but it just seemed like, I'm like, oh man, I ride bikes and stuff, but I'm not that skinny.
Right.
Like all those dudes look like they were just like
slim fit.
Yeah. I mean, they all look like bike racers,
right?
I mean, even the guys that were on the trip.
They still do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he
might be like 2 pounds heavier.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just, this would be a little bit more.
This would just like, we're going to grab tacos.
Yeah. And you know what? If Tuesday you're cramping because of the ride on Monday was
hang out in the coffee shop.
Hang out, man.
Go to the beach.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Let's go to the beach. Chill.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm sure some of the people that would come along on the trip, they're not bike riders. One of our mechanics or something. I know he's not a bike rider, but
and there's no harm getting any bike.
Yeah,
you can get an e-road bike. I mean, I think being open-minded about it is the best thing.
Yep.
It's not like you have to be you have to have a certain look. You have to do this or that or have this kind of bike and.
Yeah, quite frankly, I don't know that I could go knock out 90 miles in the mountains tomorrow.
Let's start with 9.
Yeah.
There's a coffee shop that sells this killer chocolate croissant. Let's go up there. Yeah. No, but like I think having an open mind, a little bit Rat Pack, a little bit.
Sure.
Just keep it loose. I think. I'm not kidding. I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, reach out to us. Send us an email. Yeah. Let us know if you're interested.
If you're interested in this kind of thing, like you want to participate, like this is something you would throw a little bit of money at. We're not talking $5,000. We're not talking $7,000. Some of these places charge that and way more. Yeah. We're talking like a trip to Europe. You pay your own airfare.
Yeah, guy, and nice place to stay.
We'll figure out the on the ground stuff. We'll do the recon. We'll find the affordable
van
to stay.
And nice place to stay.
We'll figure out the airport pickup, the van.
Yep.
We'll do all the grocery runs. And we'll find the cool little spots.
Yep. Family meal at the end of the day.
Big party at the end. And some good bike riding.
Yeah.
But,
good bike riding, just a good time. Some storytelling.
And plenty of options.
Yeah.
And it'll be kind of like the so I go to the Planet Fitness over here. And I don't know if you know them, but their whole thing is no judgment zone.
Really?
That's their whole thing. Yeah, their whole theme is it's a no judgment zone.
Planet Fitness?
Yeah, and they have it all over inside.
Really?
Everywhere you look, there's huge signs. No judgment, no judgment. And it's kind of cool. It's part of their thing. And they're actually crushing it.
Do you do weights, or you just go in there and don't judge people?
I just walk around and judge people. No. You're that guy. No, I go in and I'm obviously not a gym rat because I'm skinny, but skinny-ish, but like not like a meathead. No offense to meatheads. No, I go in. I do a lot of stretching.
Okay.
In the winter, I'll do a little bit of running.
Okay.
I might do 20, 30 minutes on the treadmill. I do stretching, and then I will do like body weight stuff. So calisthenics, good old fashioned stuff. And then I do some stuff. I like to do free weights, and I just do like high reps. So I might do some curls. I do. I might grab like a big weight and just kind of lift it over my head, move it around. I kind of do like the lean over, the shoulder.
We should go. We should go. You know what? I want to come and join
It
you.
would actually be hilarious to watch me work.
I want to. I want to join you.
You'd be like, "What are you doing?"
I want to join you one day.
Let's do it.
We go completely old school. We go Hans and Franz.
I'll beat Dana Carvey.
Go pump you up, right?
Pump you up.
Nobody will get it because everybody, only people our age would get it.
And if they got it, they'd be like, "Oh my god!
Oh my god, they're doing Hans and Franz."
So that's kind of what I do. I do some body weight squats.
Yeah.
I might use a little bit of weights, but like 10, 20 pounds, nothing
cool.
big. A little kettlebell, nothing hardcore. I used to work more hardcore. Now I'm kind of generally coming back into it.
Yeah.
But the point is the gym, it's really cheap.
Yeah.
A membership there is like $20-$30 a month.
Nice.
So it's super cheap. But their whole thing is, and they're actually doing really well, their stock and their company with the pandemic and reopening and stuff. But their whole thing is like no judgment. So there's signs everywhere.
Nice.
No judgment. It's actually kind of cool because of all the gyms I've been to, and I'm not, I don't own their stock. I'm not promoting it.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I have to say in general, people there just kind of do their thing. I can't say that about every gym. And I haven't been to all of them, but I've been to like LA Fitness and Equinox. And there's some different ones. I went to a really fancy one for about a year in New York. I think their culture kind of lives up to it. Like people just kind of doing their thing. You have all body types, all ages,
Nice.
all weights. You get incredibly shredded people, and then you get everyone else.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I like it.
I've been doing a lot of. I've been. I noticed when I started riding again, I just noticed that I don't have access to certain muscles, and like my hamstrings and stuff. Like I've been doing a little bit. Like I'm obviously not. I'm not as strong as I used to be, and I was trying to figure out why. Because I started riding fairly regularly. I mean, just a little bit, and it seemed like I should be a little bit better than I am. And I think over the years, just with age and stuff, you just you lose access. There's like things that happen to your body where you're just like you have like pelvic tilt. I've been investigating all these different things. And it's a very common issue apparently. So I've been kind of looking into kind of doing some body work with like being able to access some of these muscles that I haven't accessed in a while, just because you get into some really bad habits, and it just happens with age and just bad. There's like certain movements you don't do anymore as an adult.
Get a little rusty, a little creaky.
Yeah, it's like a
little atrophy sets in.
What everybody always goes back to, and it's one of those things like people don't spend time on the ground as an adult.
Yep.
Like get on the ground. Like look at old people, and like none of them are ever on the ground unless they fall.
Yep.
And being able to get up, like spending time on the ground is very important.
I love it.
And one of the guys is like, get off the ground without using your hands.
Good luck.
Yes.
It's pretty hard.
Yeah. So that's one, and also like the 10-minute squat.
Yep.
Like just being able to squat, like just complete squat, butt down.
Or even just put your back against the wall and squat down.
And hard. Like hold that for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
it's just some real simple.
It's easy for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Minute 2, 3, you're like, oh boy.
Like rolling around, like actually like rolling, like like
even like a really simple push up.
So like
a little plank.
Yep. So I'm like back to even just doing that stuff. Like I pulled out a mat and I'm starting to do just some of that real just.
That's kind of what I'm doing right now. I was beyond that when I was last kind of fit, working out, racing and all that. And for long story boring, I'm back to kind of starting out a little bit at the beginning almost. And I'm doing that's kind of what I'm doing. Like 2-3 days at the gym. I go in for about hour and a half.
Nice.
And I do that. I just do a ton of stretching. I've always been a big stretcher because I just found it's really helpful.
Yep.
A lot of stretching. I use the foam roller. And then I'll get into in the last like third of my workout. That's when I actually get into like doing some of the body weight stuff.
Yeah, I've gotten into my feet a lot, and like, there's a guy named Kelly Starrett. You can see him on YouTube.
Okay.
Like a physical therapist, and he works with some cyclists out in Colorado, and you know he has a pretty good understanding of cycling. Because I think his wife was a competitive cyclist, so he's kind of in tune with cycling and some of the specifics of cycling. But he's got a lot of really just, you know, body awareness, right? Just aware of things, you know, and he's made me very aware of things that that I'm just doing wrong, you know, and just like, you know, just like your feet and your balance and how you distribute the weight on your feet.
Posture.
Yeah. Becoming aware of like, oh, my ankle, like I lean to one side, you know, try to straighten these things out, you know?
Yep.
And so I've really been watching that because I spend all my entire day on my feet.
You're on your feet a lot.
I'm on my feet all day long.
Like nurses and all these folks who have like stand-up jobs. Like it's a thing. Because if people like, it reminds me when people like got into stand-up desks, there was like this whole trend.
Yeah.
And I remember everyone in the newsroom I worked at when I was at Business Insider, like a third of the newsroom, like 500 people, a third of those, everyone got like stand-up desk requests from IT and the office manager and stuff. And they kind of set them up, and next thing you know, everyone's doing the slouch. So after a couple of days of like that euphoria of like, I got a stand-up desk. Now they're like, oh, my back hurts.
Yeah.
My neck, like I just have these pains. Now they do the slouch, which is like, you know, the slouch. So they lean onto their desk with their elbows. Now they're leaning. And they're typing. And people would like make fun of it and like take photos and pass it around.
Really?
Which probably wasn't lovely and nice, but point being, like you stand on your feet. If you don't have a job that requires that, and you try it, you learn very quickly like how tough it is to stand up all day. So yeah, I sometimes forget that you're actually on your feet pretty much all day.
All day, the entire day. Like once I get to the shop, I'm on my feet.
That's a lot.
I'm on my feet essentially all day long, which is, I mean, it's cool because I hear these things about how people that spend their day sitting down, they die sooner and stuff. You know, people who are like in office jobs.
Sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah, the sedentary, you know, that sedentary person. And so I guess it's good, but it does wreak havoc with like your hips and your back. And you pick up some weird, you know, I noticed there are some weird things going on. And it became more, it became more evident when I started riding bikes again. You know, where I'm like, holy cow, this isn't like working the way that it used to.
It has a way of finding your weakest links and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like I'm just becoming aware of all this other stuff, and because I was like, I'm riding and I didn't seem to be making a lot of progress. I started like looking into it a little bit more, and it's like, yeah, I'm not using my hamstrings very much. You're not using your glutes, and so just doing this investigative work. I'm hoping that to spend this winter. You know, winters and the off seasons when I have time to like stretch and
I got one word for you.
Work a little bit. Yes.
Yoga.
Yeah, but I've been looking at yoga and Pilates.
Yoga is great.
Yeah, I know.
It was this revelation for me. If I had to get on a soapbox and say one thing, I would just say yoga. Yoga is so good. And you can start off super, super easy.
Sure.
You can do like even Netflix and like Amazon Prime, just whatever platform, and just YouTube has a bunch of free ones. Like just search like basic intro yoga or something. Like it is so good. I never got to a high level by any means, but I got to a pretty good, like let's say moderate level, and I was going twice a week. Man, you know who got me kind of really into it was Taylor Finney.
Really?
He was doing a ton after his big accident. He was doing a ton of yoga. And I think he maybe already was, but he really got into it. And also with meditation and stuff like that. But that really kind of got me like super curious because I had done a little bit of yoga in the past, but like I would take a class once in a blue moon with like my girlfriend or something like that.
And she's a big yogi.
Yeah.
I mean, like real yogi.
Yeah, she does the whole stand on the head and all that stuff.
Wow.
So I did it, and I was doing it like the last time I was like racing cross and working out a lot. Like I was doing yoga as a core part of that, and I would argue that was probably the best. That was the most important thing I did.
Really?
Yeah, just because there's so much flexibility. You build up a lot of strength.
Yep.
And talking a little bit like what I was picking up on when you were talking there about stuff that you didn't even kind of know about, like certain muscles or tendons or joints or whatever. like yoga will find those and strengthen those. Lots of twists and poses, but a big part of it is like the breathing. And the breathing is one of the big things that I didn't quite realize at first. So anyway, I would say yoga for pretty much anybody, but also cyclists is just great. Even if you do it once a week.
I'm getting back into kind of it all a little bit. Even the breathing, I was even looking at one of these breathing devices. The Lotto Sudal team has some sort of special going. There's a Vuelta España special on one of these like breathing apparatuses that works with an app on your phone. You do breathing exercises.
Interesting.
You put in like this device in your mouth and it measures your volume and I remember when I was a young bike racer, my mom was still working in the hospital. She was a nurse, and I asked her for one of those. They had these breathing. It was like a toy where it had like 4 or 5 little balls in there, and you'd like blow into it and kind of like raise these balls. And,
okay.
And I asked her to bring one home for me, and I had one of those when I was like a young bike racer because you could practice. You'd kind of get these balls up in the air and kind of move them around. But it'd been a long time since I've been, so those were very effective.
Did it measure the force or something else? Okay.
Yeah. So you're just kind of like, it helped.
So getting the balls up and then keeping them up.
Yeah. And then keeping them up and like extended.
So that's steady. So like
time. Yeah.
VO2 max or just some sort of capacity.
Yeah. Just taking a deep.
Yeah.
And then extend it and leave it, and really bring it out. Yeah. So it just kind of helped train, because your breathing's super important. We don't breathe right. Normal people, like you just
we don't use our noses enough.
Yeah, and you don't like a real breath is like down in your stomach.
Yeah,
it's like way down. Like your belly should extend, like your belt. Should.
Well, sounds like you want to do some yoga.
I want to do all that stuff.
By the way, before
I want to live forever, Danny.
That makes one of us. I'm gonna say one life's enough. The old Who song, but I will say though, if you don't know the name Steve Maxwell.
Steve Maxwell, no.
He's an interesting gent. And the quick story on him is, I want to say he's in his 70s now, but he is kind of credited with, a few things, bringing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to the U.S. So he's kind of an older school dude.
Sure.
He's been on Rogan a couple times. He's a very interesting dude. Bit of a nomad, but he's all about like lifespan. Health span.
Yeah.
Versus lifespan. So everyone wants to live forever, but he's all like, it's just the quality of your life.
It's the quality. Yeah. So that's all. It's a whole thing. It's like that in those last 10 years and like having usable years, it's not, plenty of people are going to live to be 70, but the last 15 or 20 years of their life, they've been sedentary and just watching TV and just waiting for the end, not very active.
Yeah, they tons of atrophy. There's all kinds of stuff that goes into that. And I saw it with my father. He spent the last 10 years of his life in a nursing home, which was very challenging and difficult. But I'm
living it with my dad right now, who's having some health issues, and I've been accompanying him to doctor's visits and being a little bit more.
Good for you, Joe.
Yeah, I've been
helping out pops.
Yeah, I've been more involved with with like what's going on. Because I want to see what's going on. I want to know, and so I've been sitting in on all these meetings and watching the tests, and watching all just a barrage of doctors do a lot of different things. And so it's made me very aware of like, what I don't want.
Yes.
What I don't want it to look like. In 25 years from now, or 25 years, and that's not what I want.
Right.
And there's guys like Dr. Peter Attia. Yeah, I mean he's big. He's like probably one of the foremost guys doing work into this and try to they're doing they've got different programs and basically they're having you like describe your life. What do you want to do? How long do you think you're going to live? And what do you want to be doing at that age, right? Do you want to be picking up babies? Do you want to be riding bikes? You want to be able to lift stuff? And then you work backwards. Basically, it's like, well, if you want to do that when you're 80, you got to start doing that.
Yeah.
Now, now that you're 50, you got to start doing this.
So this is interesting. So so I know Attia, I've been reading some of his stuff. I get his newsletter. It's really good.
Okay. Yeah.
Longo is another guy. He does more like diet. But he's interesting too. I've read his book, The Longevity Diet.
Yep.
But Steve Maxwell is really interesting. He's really cool. So he does a lot of like seminars, flies around the world, and he does like all these like, these like seminars where he'll be like in Germany, and it's like people show up for his course, and he charges them for like the weekend and shows them all this stuff. But he's really about just like overall body strength. And he's not like, if you saw him, like you'd be impressed if you knew his age, but he literally looks 20 years younger. And I know like people say that a lot about different people. Yeah. He really looks 20 years younger, and he's incredibly strong, but he doesn't look like some like workout
bodybuilder guy, but just
like very solid overall. Like he's not some crazy guy with huge pecs or guns or whatever. He's just like a very strong looking, but like normal guy in the old school sense is normal. You know, like, who's the Death Wish guy?
I know who you're talking about. Not Peter.
Just drawing a blank. But yeah, so like that kind of
like old school
farmer strength.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like bulging crazy, Schwarzenegger type. Just like overall like Popeye forearms, and just like good leanness and all this.
We should figure out what we're going to call that. I like that. I like that.
Farmer strength.
Yeah, I mean, I know the look. It's that old school. It's that old school.
Kind of like Brando in Streetcar Named Desire, although he had kind of like a slightly bigger build. He was a bit of a stocky boy, but just this idea that just like he does a lot of like calisthenics. He does a lot of kettlebell, and he does other stuff as well. But he's all about like posture and form. And he's actually not into like supplements. He's not into like gym stuff per se. He thinks like free weights are the best, but he does a lot of like, he goes to like, he has all these funny like videos like he just posts on his social media. Like he'll be like in Berlin, and he just like finds the local like kids park, and he goes in the park, he starts doing his workout. People stop and they're looking at him, and
really,
he's like the 70-year-old dude, and he's just doing like one-handed pull-ups, and he's not a showboat. He's actually just, anyway, he's a very interesting guy. He's also kind of a minimalist. He doesn't really have much. Like he makes a good living, but he's just kind of like lives out of a backpack. I think he has a base in like Honolulu or something like that. Anyway, interesting dude. I kept thinking about him when you're talking about some of that stuff. Steve Maxwell.
Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's. I guess I'm paying attention to all that stuff now, right? I mean, it's I guess better late than never. Because I've had examples of these kinds of people throughout my life, my whole life. Working at the bike shop, there's always been the old guy who comes in and you're like, man, I'm doing RAGBRAI, and I'm like, man, you're almost 80 years old. You're doing RAGBRAI again? And he's like, yeah, man, I love it. I'm like, man, I really want to be. When I was 25, I was looking at these guys. I'm like, man, I really want to be doing it. And now that, now I'm 50 or whatever.
You're like, that's 20, 30 years away.
I'm like,
and it's going to go like that.
It's going to go like that. I know that it's going because it is going like that. I mean, another summer's just gone by, Danny. Like another almost, we're done with the summer already. We're done with the cycling.
Not
yet. But I mean,
close.
Yeah, we're close. So, and so those markers, those year markers, Labor Day and the fall and all that.
The nice thing about cycling, if you do it consistently though, is it kind of keeps you young.
Well, you can do it forever.
Yeah.
That's the one, and that's the other thing is that at the bike shop, I meet people all the time who can't jog anymore. They can't run anymore. They can't do whatever but they can still ride a bike.
Yep.
And they can still ride a bike. They're getting new hips. Doctor tells them to go ride a bike. You get a new knee, go ride a bike. That is the recommended exercise for all of these people is to go ride a bike. You got high blood pressure, go ride a bike. Because it's easy on the body.
Get a facelift, get a new bike.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go.
Get a new eyeball.
Yeah.
You can still ride a bike.
That's right.
But yeah, so check those guys out. They're very interesting to check out. It's about that lifespan and health span together. I think some people are obsessed about futurism and long-termism and just all these notions about supplements and this and that. And I think they miss the point because I think it's really about the health span.
It is.
Like they may not be very healthy now, but they're obsessed with being alive in 50 years. And I'm kind of like, that seems a little backward to me.
Well, it all comes down to exercise. Like it turns out that all of it is diet and exercise. And it's no secret.
Right.
You know, I mean, there really isn't like a secret. There isn't a secret pill to it. You know, all that other stuff will help, but the diet and the exercise is like the main thing. It kind of all revolves around that. And then after
I'd say it's most of it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously having, you know, friends, community, and low stress and all those things too are important as well.
But the exercise seems to help with the stress, right? I mean, it does not get in the way, and it seems that, you know, it's all pretty positive. So, listen to us, Danny.
Listen to us, Joe.
Huh. How do we tap into that?
Listen to us. What a segue.
How do we tap into all the,
I have no idea.
The health and wellness? Maybe I'm going to recategorize
Charles Bronson.
I'm going to recategorize our podcast.
We're talking about the Death Wish.
I think podcast is going to we'll put us in the health and wellness section of the podcast offerings at Apple.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I just realized that was kind of a funny one to mention is Death Wish, given our talk about lifespan and death and health span.
Yeah.
What a funny title to refer to.
Well, if you don't want a death wish, go ride your bike.
Yeah. Keep pedaling. So anyway, we will do that bike ride, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
let's do it. We got. I think we have to organize it. We have to commit to it. So we don't have to do it now, but I'm going to come down.
Yeah.
Sarah and I will come down and we'll do the ride on the paved trail.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go, I don't know, we'll do like a 30, 40 miler.
Yeah, we can go out to Joliet.
And then we'll ride back and we'll go to the brewery for a cold one.
Mm-hmm. There's actually a brewery at the other end.
All right, so we'll do one there on the way back.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ride. I had the kids out on that ride recently.
I saw, you do such a good job with social, like even the website. Like I went to the website, I saw there was like that little video of you guys riding bikes.
Ah,
that's cool.
Thank you.
It's nice.
Yeah, I have big plans for that.
Check out the website. What's the website called?
.com.
Oh, gee. .com. Well, I thought it was bikeshopsociety.com.
Yeah, bikeshopsociety.com. Actually, I should make do some updates on that too. Maybe I'll add some of that footage.
How do people get in touch if they want to, Joe, or follow us on the socials?
It's mail at bikeshopsociety.com. It's bikeshopsociety at bikeshopsociety on Twitter. It's bikeshopsociety on Instagram. I believe we have a Facebook as well. I should get you involved with.
You're not on OnlyFans, are you?
Thinking about it.
Oh, no.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you get that hot bod of yours.
What do you mean if I get?
Yeah, that Planet Fitness bod of yours. You know,
no judgment zone.
Sure,
that's going to be my OnlyFans account name. No judgment zone.
Use that money to get ourselves over to Europe, Danny.
Oh man, I'll have ones and ones of dollars.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, people check it out. Write in.
Yep.
Say hello. Don't be shy. And I will end, Joe, with a little update. I'd mentioned a certain journalist who was connected to the Slovenian superstars.
Yes.
Pogačar and Roglic.
Yeah, she had
and Mate Mohoric, winner of MSR.
Yep.
Mr. Dropper Post. So I actually met her IRL recently for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, she's back from Slovenia.
Okay.
She lives here in Logan Square.
Did you just bump into her?
We were.
You did a meet.
Here's how social media is kind of cool.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of crap stuff about social media. But
sure.
This is one of the cool stories. So we follow each other on the Insta. And she saw I posted like a story, just a little photo of a little mural in the neighborhood. And she saw it and she was like, "Oh my God, that's like right by my house." And I was like, "No way!" Like I knew she lived in Chicago, but I had no idea where.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, I'm like 2 blocks from there." I'm like, "Well, I'm 2 blocks from there." So we chatted, messaged a little bit, and we went out for a beer.
Wow.
Saturday afternoon, and we got to meet finally IRL. She had just gotten back, I think, pretty recently from Slovenia. She had covered the tour, and her name is Kate Wagner. So if folks don't know her, maybe check her out. She has a Substack, which is called Derailleur. So if you search like Derailleur Kate on the Googles, you'll find it. So it's like, a newsletter. It comes out a couple times a week, I guess. So I get that as well. So she's written for a lot of publications, Velo News, Bicycling, Cycling News, Cycling Tips, you name it, others. What's interesting about Kate, and I want to have her on the podcast, that's the point here. But what's interesting about her is she actually became somewhat internet famous
recently,
for cycling, for architecture criticism.
Huh.
And so she actually has a TED Talk.
Okay.
She did a TED Talk on McMansions.
On architecture.
Yeah. And so she basically destroys the idea of McMansions and the monstrosities that they are. So she has like 100,000 plus followers on her Twitter for like her architecture criticism. She writes for architecture publications.
Oh, interesting.
She has that cool TED Talk on it, which is really good. So yeah, she's a fascinating person. She's very lovely to talk to. And I didn't mention it to her, and I don't know if she would ever listen to this podcast, but we got to have her on, especially because she's in the area.
Yeah.
So maybe the next time you're up here, maybe in a couple of weeks or whatever.
Yeah, we can set something up. Let me know.
Set it up and have her on. I think she's fascinating. And she's going to have a ton to talk about. We had a ton to talk about in terms of the tour. Some stuff was really eye-opening.
Yeah, and just being on the ground at the tour is always, anybody, but, especially someone who has press credentials, and someone who was kind of caught up in a firestorm while she was there.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was. So that's good to talk about too. So we'll save all that. And Ocaña, so the book, we're going to do that too. I talked about that before.
Yep.
We'll save that for like a nice winter podcast when we're all cozy with our hot chocolate.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah.
When it's when we're in the doldrums of Chicago winter.
Yep.
We'll do like a book episode where I talk about Ocaña, and if people want to read it, they should check it out. It's called Reckless. It's about Luis Ocaña, the Spaniard who kind of became French. We'll do those things. We'll talk to Kate.
A lot of good stuff coming.
I know you got a couple people you probably want to have on.
We've gone 2 hours already. We'll save that for a future show.
Oh, we did a short one tonight.
Sure. Hey, well, we owed our fans out there.
We did.
The
Andrew Quinlans of the world. We owed him.
We owed him.
We owed him. Our other
handful of people, our listeners are. No, you know what? If you want your name mentioned on the show, email us, mail@bikeshopsociety.com. Otherwise, you don't get a mention.
If you want to.
I know a couple of them.
We will do birthday shout-outs.
David Dominguez, he's written us.
The old DD.
Yeah.
We will do shout-outs for birthdays.
Yeah.
Quinceañeras.
Oh, quinceañeras especially.
Bar mitzvahs.
Yep.
Christenings. Graduations. Weddings. We do it all. Stop me before I keep going.
I am going to stop you. See you later, Danny.
Literally.